Okay, ready to go? Here we go. Audio's sorted. Hey, you're a part of the VoIP Users Conference, the VUC VoIP and Tel at vuc.me. We could not do this every week without the help of Voxeo Labs. Visit tropo.com, Sangoma.com, makers of some of the finest VoIP hardware you'll ever find. Our hosted PBX by onsip.com. Hardest working guys in VoIP over at e4strategies.com. What would we be without David Frankel and the wideband ZipDX Orchestra, full-featured conference bridge? And thanks to Voxbone, you can call in from 48 cities around the world at local rates to the VUC. All right, I'd like to welcome our guests from 10 Hands. That would be, if you want to go visit the site and ask for a beta invite, that would be 10hands.net, tenhands.net. Hello to Jack Blazer. I hope I'm pronouncing it. It's a blazer like my blazer. Is that close?
You have it. That's correct. Thanks, Randy.
Jack, you're co-founder of 10hands.net, but I understand that Mark Wydick is going to take us through. Is Mark with us, by the way? There he is.
I am. Hi there, Randy. Good morning. How are you?
Good afternoon. And you're going to drive today, and apparently my audio is awful on ZipDX, so we're going to pass it right over to you. Tell us about 10 Hands, how it got started, who's in it, and introduce everybody, would you please?
Sure, and thanks for hosting us. We really appreciate the opportunity to share our vision of 10 Hands and video collaboration with your audience. The background of the 10 Hands folks is really conducive to taking advantage of the opportunity to transform video collaboration. We all come from different video backgrounds. Jack, who you just met a moment ago on screen, was the founder and previously the president of BT's conferencing business in the Americas. The fellow to my left here, Venkatesh Venkataramanan, goes by Venki. Venki was principal architect over at Cisco with me during our time designing and operating Cisco's telepresence exchange business. And we ran that telepresence business for telcos around the world to help them deliver world-class video experiences to their enterprise customers. So we all have very deep video collaboration experience, and in those roles, we saw a tremendous opportunity to change the way that teams collaborate. We saw an opportunity to include the masses and their personal devices that were capable of a great video experience. We saw this opportunity based upon three trends. The first one was that we saw massive investment in video collaboration at small, medium, and large businesses at a global scale. Second thing was a newfound or recently developed consumer comfort with video in general, and video as a primary means of communication specifically through things we do in our personal lives. So this was 3.5 years ago that this all started to happen, but it's certainly accelerated since then. And the last thing that we saw that really catalyzed us all to take the plunge, leave our day jobs, and found 10 Hands was a move to the cloud from all enterprise applications, from CRM, project management, enterprise social, all residing in the cloud. We saw those three things as an opportunity to transform the way video is delivered as a service. And then something really fortuitous happened for the guys at 10 Hands, and it's courtesy of our pals over at Google. They kicked their WebRTC project into high gear, and it catalyzed in us this notion that the browser, should Google and the WebRTC initiative succeed, and we think it will, all signs are that it will, the browser is going to change the way that we communicate in much the same way it changed the way we access information many years ago. So with that foundation, we set out to build 10 Hands as a free, easy video collaboration service business that's based on WebRTC. That's the broad background of how we got here and what we're trying to do.
Excellent. I am afraid because of my bad audio, I'm not going to be able to do a great job of hosting things here. Let me ask if there's any questions, though, because I think you should be able to hear those coming back if they know what I'm saying in the thing. Go ahead, if anybody.
Well, let me continue here. I suspect,
Sure.
Randy, as we delve into some of the architectural choices we made to deliver 10-hand service, it may catalyze some inquiry, and if nothing else, it'll create a broader understanding of what we're doing and how we're accomplishing it.
Great.
Of course, the WebRTC code is largely Chrome-focused from the beginning, so first step we had to take on was to extend beyond Chrome to Firefox, Safari, and Internet Explorer. We did that work. We run on both Windows and Mac. Our view is that by running in a browser, it's probably no news to the folks who are interested in WebRTC already. We've heard this time and time again from large enterprises, from not-for-profit organizations, public sector entities, that the browser is a great tool to democratize video communications because we all have one. So very soon, billions and billions of browser-toting humans will be able to interact much like this, courtesy of the browser. Then we designed an architecture that allows for on-demand scale and a freemium go-to-market approach. We're HTML5 based, of course, for our user experience. We run all of our media handling infrastructure resides up in Amazon's Elastic Computing Cloud. We don't own a single server at 10 Hands. We started that way from day one. And that on-demand scalability in Amazon's cloud gives us a tremendous delivery cost advantage relative to a wide range of incumbents who made different architectural choices. The last thing we did is something that is available but not necessary from the 10 Hands service. And that is the ability to run the media over a dedicated network to avoid middle-mile packet loss, to improve the quality of experience. One of the things we all learned during our telepresence days was that the experience really does matter. Now, that middle-mile network is fungible in that it can be my middle-mile network, it can be the middle-mile network of a telco, or it can run over the top for the lowest delivery cost alternative, depending on what your appetite is for great quality and optimized against delivery costs. That combination, HTML5 based, running in a browser, makes us very partner-friendly. One of our go-to-market strategies is to be the video inside of many other cloud-based applications. We've seen that a wide range of applications, generally collaboration, but the product portfolios of telcos all have a need for real-time communications. And we've seen that their customers are looking for ways to access real-time video in a cost-effective, ROI simple approach, and that's what 10 Hands does for them. So I'll pause again occasionally here to see if your audio picks up, Randy. It can be a little bit more interactive, less monologue-y, or if there are questions from the group before I get into a 10 Hands demo.
Yeah, I've got a question. Yeah, Tim Pounson here. I don't know if... yeah, so I've got a question about the WebRTC angle. I'm interested to see that you're actually using a plugin and not the WebRTC code that's in Chrome. So if I start it up in a Chromebook, it still asks me to install a plugin. Can you explain the rationale there a bit?
I think we
Think they've frozen.
looks like Mark is frozen. The two guys are not moving. So.
Mark's frozen. I'll pick it up. This is Jack, and I'm sure Mark will be back in a little bit. Yeah, Tim, so we built our service around the framework of WebRTC. Chrome will be releasing their newest version later this year, is our best estimate. And once they do that, we'll be in position to deliver our service via Chrome without a plugin.
But it's already in Chrome right now. I mean, you can use it in Chrome right now.
I believe that's it.
Not to.
That's in the developmental software release, I believe.
No, it's in the live one. You have to switch it on, but it's there.
I'll have Becky go through that in a little bit more detail, as he's a bit more technical than me when he gets back. The other benefits that we get from the plugin is it allows us to use the other browsers, like Internet Explorer, and Safari, for example. And it also gives us a wider breadth of service, so we get a whole range of stats. We can monitor the network utilization. We can monitor the quality of the image based upon looking at your device and what type of CPU or network you might have in your particular situation. We're able to throttle the picture image, from 720p down to other images dynamically, so that we can maintain the best quality.
Yeah, great. So I then have a kind of more commercial standardsy question, which is, are you interested in contributing those sorts of insights into the W3C and the ITF effort that's trying to standardize WebRTC right now? Those are the sorts of observations, the critical measures that you need, and the other features that you feel you need from your plugin. Those are the sorts of things that we should try and make sure that the WebRTC group in W3C includes into the standard. So, I mean, it'd be great if you could contribute those things, those thoughts.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I know we're involved with the WRTC group, and we'll be, as we continue to go forward, we'll be happy to work to contribute as much as we can.
Great.
We're building the overlay on top of WebRTC that brings the additional value to our users in a whole host of different ways.
Cool, thanks.
Sure. Any other questions? And we'll wait for Mark. And I want to make sure, Tim, I get back to your question in more detail when Benke gets back regarding the Chrome browser. Okay. Some of the business implications to the approach that we've taken that we found are pretty interesting to our potential partners and clients because we've done a few things. We've leveraged the WebRTC, which, by the way, is royalty-free, gives us a cost benefit that we can pass along. We've also, as Mark had mentioned, leveraged our ability to build the software to do the mixing for multi-point and other aspects of our service very cost-effectively. We estimate somewhere between 20 to 50 times more cost-effectively than a lot of the other video players out there. So as a result, we can deliver our service as a freemium offer. As a freemium offer, that means that it kind of changes the way that businesses can make decisions and really adopt the service. We know one of the challenges with video is the ability to adopt. They're coming back. I'll finish my thought and get right back to you guys. But the ability to drive folks to utilize and adopt video in their workday and to realize the benefits. And the ability to provide a freemium offer lets us to roll out a service to the entire population, whether it's a department or an entire organization, free of charge, and then we'll monetize later on based upon usage. So once you reach a limit of, say, 3 hours per month, we would look to monetize at a charge of $10 per user per month. And that's different than a lot of the other business offerings that might look to charge $30, $40 per month per license per user up front, which makes it really difficult to make that ROI decision on folks that either are using or not using today. How many licenses do I buy? How do I enable my organization most effectively to take advantage of the technology? The ability that we're able to offer with our cost advantages and passing along to the customer really enables the company now to roll this out completely. I want to get back, Venki, now that you're back. There was a question about Chrome, and I don't know if you caught the question around that we were providing a plugin, and we're providing a plugin today, whereas Tim was suggesting that Chrome today is enabled to be plugin free. So
yeah, so hi, this is Venkatesh. We are in the process of migrating our application to work in a plugin-less model as well. So when we started this initiative last year in June, we started off of the open source WebRTC base, and then we added certain capabilities that would make us work in an enterprise deployment. For example, the firewall NAT traversal mechanism that Chrome offers today doesn't work in certain types of restricted networks. So we made some changes to enable those kinds of firewall NAT traversals. So we are in the process of contributing a lot of that code back into Google, and we expect that those capabilities will make us work in a more broader set of network deployments. So until that happens, we still think we'll have some sort of a plugin for Chrome, but we have certain prototypes that work in certain loose networks when you don't need when there are no restricted firewall NAT traversals in a plugin-less model. So we have a proof of concept that we plan to expose to our users in the next few weeks.
That is plug-in free.
Which will be plug-in free. So when you go to our website, the application will recognize that you're on the right version of Chrome. You've enabled the peer connection capabilities on Chrome. And if that succeeds, then we will not install our plugin and we'll just offer, we'll run in a plugin lesson.
Well, that's great. I obviously tried a little bit too soon because I tried it on a Chrome box behind me, and it asked to install the plugin, and obviously that doesn't work on the Chrome box. So I was curious to see how that went. I said to your colleague, I think any of your insights that you can make around what changes you think are necessary in WebRTC to make it work in enterprise, those sorts of things, if you can feed them back to the standards groups, I can be a channel for that if that's helpful. We really need that kind of input to make sure we get that standard right as soon as possible.
Tim, I think we're actually brewing a feedback to the group around multi-point support, Venki.
Right. So we definitely, given our history of last 1 year where we have been intimately working with WebRTC code base and made it work in networks, enterprise networks, we have a bunch of things. For example, turn support is one of the things that's conspicuously missing, and we have contributed back some of those changes back into the code that hopefully will make its way in some fashion or form. That's the first thing. The second one that we also want is to enhance more restrictive networks where you want to traverse over TCP or over SSL kind of networks. So that's the second aspect of things that are missing conspicuously in Chrome as of today. So certain types of networks you will never work. The video or the audio will never flow through. So that's the second aspect. The third one is how the Chrome browser currently handles multi-point, right? So for example, typically, especially in a switching environment, you expect if you there are certain mechanisms in the RTP streams that Chrome expects or the WebRTC group is working towards standardizing that are still not made its way into the Chrome browser. So there are multiple areas where we are going to be definitely providing some feedback. And the last but not the least, the statistics, exposing statistics for a call. For example, when people are having problems, when you want to troubleshoot and others, it's like a black box, so people don't know what's happening from a network perspective, if there is packet loss, jitter, latency, and how the browser adapts to those kind of loss environments or not exposed to an app developer. So we are working with the standards group to enable exposing those kinds of reports to an application developer, so we can have more visibility into what's happening, so we can better troubleshoot, better manage, and better provide a better experience to the users, right? So those kind of things, there are various buckets that we are working towards, and definitely we are going to contribute towards the standard. We'll get in touch with you and maybe work closer with you in the next coming days, so we can route them to the WebRTC mailing list.
Okay, let's see if the audio. That Friday the 13th. What can I tell you? I mean, I've done this 100 times. It's never happened.
Are you just a decaphobic?
It could be that there's that problem. Anyway, let's see if Michael Graves speak, and let me see if we can hear you.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you're coming through. So you had a couple of questions. I think the first one was answered, but go ahead with the other one.
Yeah, one of the things I'm seeing in a lot of desktop video communication stuff is the sort of exclusivity of focus on webcams as a video input. And have you given any consideration to something beyond a webcam as a source of video? Because webcams are inherently limiting to what you can do with the channel.
Michael's a video pro, so that's where that question's coming from.
Would you be able to give us a little bit more clarity on what exactly do you mean? Outside of a webcam, or
if you look at if I want to incorporate some kind of video that is not just a picture of me, the minute I say that, virtually all of the software-based video conferencing systems fall down. They can't handle something that was taking, let's say, a video input from a camera that was a better quality camera than a webcam. Something that was not designed to be USB connected.
Okay.
So if I, for example, I've spent $200 on a card from a company called Blackmagic Design that lets me plug a high-quality camera into a computer, but none of these soft apps deal with that. They all expect that they're going to be talking to something that emulates a Logitech webcam.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I honestly don't know where WebRTC energy is focused around something like that, and that puts us in a little bit of a conundrum. Do we pursue devices outside of WebRTC that potentially perpetuate the need for a plug-in, or do we deal with, in this case, what may be a boundary condition on the types of devices supported, but we get to go plug-in free?
I think WebRTC as a sort of a protocol, I think this is independent of that. The idea being you want this thing to run in a browser, yeah. So there may be like a driver or an interface requirement that would require a plugin. But webcams have gotten better, and I've had probably 20 of them over the years. And I have the current state of the art, and it is relatively abysmal compared to a lot of the other things that I deal with all the time. So I would much rather have some flexibility in the device that I choose. I may not want to show a camera view at all. I may want to take the output of some other device and stream it as an example of something that I've recorded. People seem to accept that they want to do desktop sharing, but then the next step after that is to say, well, I'm going to play this QuickTime movie in my desktop sharing session, and that's just an abomination.
Yeah, certain types of capabilities you can do today with WebRTC as well, but certain types where if you're bringing in certain types of new devices that the drivers don't exist for your operating system, or the browser, the WebRTC implementation doesn't recognize those cameras, may be a challenge. But definitely those are things that we may have to work through the WebRTC channels to get some of those capabilities built into the browser as well. So
even in the realm of webcams, there has been in the last year sort of a new generation of webcams. It started out with the FreeTalk webcam that had onboard H.264 compression, so they offloaded the video compression from the host platform. Well, those only work with applications that have been written to use them. And so now you've got all the legacy webcams that require the host CPU to do that, and then the 2 or 3 now models of ones that have to be dealt with differently. So that's why webcams are a less than ideal source. But I accept that they're kind of ubiquitous, and so they're a good place to start. Thank you. Feel free to use that as a point of differentiation that makes your service.
I've made that note. I've made that note because as a telepresence, born and raised in telepresence, I'd love to be able to deliver that kind of quality over this kind of device. And what I'm hearing you say is there are inherent limitations to the camera population based on the software design. So, yeah, that's what.
Sure. And so, for example, I might have a little TV connected video camera, as I'm sure Randy has, something like that, right? If I just plug that into a DV port on my computer, it would expose itself in some fairly standard way, and so there you go. Hardware flexibility is as important as other factors, I guess. Thank you. I'll get off my soapbox now.
Good soapbox.
Soapboxes are good. That we've been talking about WebRTC, which is very important to everybody, but we haven't seen this platform yet. What can you show us? Let's do a call or whatever we had planned.
Well, I'm going to do a screen share. Yeah. I'll screen share into the application here momentarily, and only in the interest of the audio mixing feedback loop nightmare we might create. I'm going to suppress all audio and only do a point as well. So let me just see here for a second. All right, looks like to me it looks like I'm sharing at this point with the group. Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. Yep.
And so what I've taken you to here is I've signed into the 10 Hands application. We use email addressing scheme as our identity management. And within the 10 Hands application, you see a couple of things I'll highlight. Number one, we run a presence server indicating Jack's available. My lovely wife not available today. That's her at the Vancouver Olympics last year. I had to stay home with the kids. The concept of group collaboration is something that's near and dear to our heart. It's the thing more so even than turn server capability out of WebRTC that I'd like to see supported, because we think that the best collaboration happens in groups greater than 2. So there are a couple of ways to facilitate that. Everybody at 10 Hands gets their own personal URL. The construct is email address after our URL. We also recently added the ability for audio add-in, audio-only participation to a 10 Hands call. The URL obviously can be included in an Outlook, calendar invite, et cetera, to bring people in. And when those people click on that link, they are given the opportunity to either subscribe to 10 Hands or to join as a guest. Our intent was to reduce the friction associated with collaboration, so we give you the alternative of simply coming into the meeting without really granting us any information about your identity whatsoever so that you can be productive. We also have the notion of, I suppose this in some sense would be the 10 Hands version of a Hangout, a group conference, that you can distribute to invitees who are either 10 Hands users or not. If they're not current 10 Hands users, they'll be invited to join as a guest or to download the plugin and become a subscribed user. The conference itself can be made public or open to only those invited. If it's made public and can be forwarded, you can bring others into the session. So what I'm going to do right now is just simply make a point-to-point call to Jack, and if all heck breaks loose on the audio, I'll do what I can to shut it down. Okay?
Nobody home. Oh, there he is.
That's my fault. I
We
muted
didn't
it.
have that before.
We know for certainty that Jack is home because he's in the Hangout, right? So let's see. We have a couple of things going on here that I want to highlight. We do an assessment of a user's computing environment and network environment to adjust the image that we send with the right computing and right network. We operate at 720p. We also have, as I said at the beginning, taken great pains to be very partner-friendly and very integratable. I'll give you just one example of that for now, and I'll talk to the others in the interest of time. We've done an integration with Box. So anybody using 10 Hands who also uses Box.com can simply link their Box account, share a file natively from Box, and use their viewer as the management tool, something they're already familiar with. Our paradigm here has been to allow you to be productive with the productivity tools that you're already familiar with. We don't need to recreate things like this. By the way, that fellow is named John Wooden. He is the source of the name of the company. He taught a concept of teamwork that really embodies what we think ought to be capable in the workplace and that we try to bring into 10 Hands. It takes 10 hands to make a basket.
UCLA, no?
He was the men's basketball coach at UCLA, yes.
Yeah.
Glad someone recognized him. Now,
I'm impressed because I know nothing about sports, but I recognize that name. Go ahead.
He transcends sports, though, Randy. Good for you. Now, we went into an invitation-only beta on April 23rd. We're going to go to an open sign-up model at the latest August 1, maybe a little earlier than that. We're still in beta, and we still have our fair share of quirks that we're working through. If this audience wants to get 10 Hands, though, if they send us a note to support@10hands.net, we'll certainly move them to the front of the queue and make sure that they get an invite sent right away. I'm going to stop sharing for now. Well, you don't need to see my calendar. There you go. We have done integrations with LogMeIn and their Join Me product for screen sharing. As we said earlier, Jack, I'm going to drop the 10 Hands here, okay?
Yep, that's fine.
And I'll come back to the Hangout here. Yeah, we've also done an integration with Join Me from LogMeIn. As I said, we'll be plug-in free in some sense, at least for point-to-point here across the next couple of weeks. Mobile's on our roadmap. I did my first call on an iPad about 2 weeks ago, and it looks like by the end of the summer we'll be able to bring mobile iOS iPad devices into a 10-hand session. For Droid, we'll probably take advantage of the wisdom of the crowd and benefit from some of the WebRTC development that's going on to bring Droid devices into this ecosystem.
Yeah, I'm always little scared to talk because apparently my audio is horrible on the other audio channel, but a lot of people are watching live, so that's good. They're getting a decent audio experience. The demo looked good, and I just want to underline the fact that you're watching the conference through a screen share on the Hangout. So you want to write to support@10hands.net, or if you're listening to this way later, the beta will probably be open, and just go to 10hands.net and ask for an invite, so you can actually see what it looks like live. Because Tim and I, Tim Patton, who's with us, actually tested it earlier today, and I tested it with Andy and a few other people of the day before, and it's actually looks great. It looks
Thank you for that, Ray.
it's amazing that it looks so good on the Hangout, really. But I could read every little tiny piece of text in there, but it looks really good live. We didn't
truth
try
be
with
told, I did have a mild hang-up, if you will, pun intended, about transmitting my video through Hangout, but it looked reasonable. I think our frame rate was okay. And with respect to your colleagues using, we use 10 Hands every day for our stand-up meetings for development. We have thousands of users who have done thousands of meetings, tens of thousands of minutes. I recently did a call between Russia, Australia, and San Jose for some new 10 Hands users, and we all operated at 720p and had a fantastic experience.
Okay, and Tim was asking about Codecs. What do you want to reveal about that? What do you guys?
Yeah, we'll talk openly about that. Of course, we have designed our basic plugin framework to be codec agnostic, but we're making use of VP8 and ISAC.
Yeah, so basically, the WebRTC framework offers VP8 as the video codec, and then there are a bunch of audio codecs that WebRTC open source as a part of the company that Google acquired called Zix. So it supports ISAC, V711, 722, 729, a lot of them. We ended up choosing ISAC for our audio codec, so we use super wideband 32 kilohertz ISAC audio, and VP8 is the video codec in the application. So that's standard for pretty much any implementation that's going to be WebRTC based. So so whenever Chrome has native, or rather when we begin to leverage the capabilities of Chrome natively rather than using our plugin, and when Firefox makes it available more broadly, so we'll be able to leverage them without having to make any changes in our cloud or server infrastructure.
Somebody asked just now about, as far as I know, you're in beta until, I think you said July 27th. You can give me that date in a second. But the other question, the inevitable question is going to come about business models. So I know you're ready for that. I'm sure you are. But the beta date is July 27th. Is that
to be clear, we characterize it as semi-open beta till July 20th. You need an invite to come into 10 Hands right now. But on or about July 27th, we'll open that up. You'll be able to sign up directly from the website instead of needing to request an invite. That's the transition.
Okay.
But I'll still characterize it as beta. Like I said, we still have an occasional ugly blemish that we need to work through.
Which happens. Oh yeah, that's right. Andy and I were talking the other day. We tried it, and we were wondering the concurrent video streams in the conference, and then let's get to the business model as well after that. How many people can be into the conference?
Say again, Randy. I missed the end of that.
The number of people in the conference, for example, Google Hangouts, it's up to 10, which it starts to degrade, by the way, at about 8 or 9. Number of people that you've commonly worked with in the conference?
I think you can talk about the limits and what we've done as a sort of a practical instantiation.
So currently, the cloud infrastructure that we run on can handle about 15 to 16 people very easily in a conference. So that's the kind of the number that we have tested to. But our theoretical limits are mostly bandwidth driven than CPU or compute driven. Unlike Hangouts where everybody's video stream goes to everybody else, our model is mostly an active Docker model. So we don't kind of require a lot of downstream. So we use symmetric uplink and downlink speeds. And so up to, depending on the resolution of your video stream, we end up using 300 to 700, close to a meg, depending on the quality of video stream, right? So, but we have the number that we have tuned our server to is 20 people, so based on our testing. So we plan to grow to a bigger number, but that's the number that we have set up our user conference number for the beta.
With respect to business model, Randy, look, the choices we made architecturally allow us to go all in a premium business model. I can deliver a three-party, one-hour call for less than 1/5 of a cent a minute. Wow. And as such, we want to put 10 Hands in a position to be, ROI that you calculate on the back of a napkin, because the I is 0. All jokes aside, the prospect of being able to take 10 Hands into a very large enterprise and say everybody gets access, you can determine whether it's delivering productivity for you or not, is something that we wanted to be able to deliver against from day one. Now, there are certain limitations. You can't be free forever. We all understand that. So the way we've looked at the problem, the opportunity, is that you'll get the full feature set of 10 Hands. As I add things like mobile, as audio access becomes more widely available, all the other things we have on the roadmap, you'll get all those, but you'll get them in limited quantity. And the soft line we have right now is at 3 hours per month. Below 3 hours per month, it's free. As you cross the 3-hour threshold, you'll incur a charge. Our modeling is at $10 a month per user, quantity 1, and the economics behind 10 Hands allow us to go to market that way, which is in stark contrast to many of the incumbents who chose a different path many years ago.
Okay, cool. Michael is asking, this is slightly off topic, but it would be interesting to hear the answer. What this is for you, Mark, and Venkatesh. What speakerphone are you using? Because you're not wearing earphones. Most of us have earbuds or something. You have 0 feedback. I'm guessing that Michael doesn't think your audio is great, but that's going through me, so what he's hearing. But out of curiosity, what device are you using? What are you talking about?
I'm talking on my MacBook Pro i5 processor, and whatever speaker is located right down there on the right-hand side. I'm sorry, what mic is located in the front right-hand side.
Right. Well, that sounds really good. That's pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, it's using the inbuilt Mac camera and the inbuilt Mac speaker and microphone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was curious, and we all are. That's the kind of thing we worry about, lose sleep at night over. So, mostly, particularly in the Hangout technology, all kidding aside, though, echo and feedback can be a problem, and you don't have any. Apple's pretty good. One begrudgingly gives them that they've got pretty good echo canceling.
We all look. It sounds like there are a lot of video, or at least conferencing guys on the call. We're set up here in a little cubed area intentionally to try to limit echo out of our office, and we were thinking I wanted to be interactive this way. So it's the best way to do it.
I'm getting
causing problems on the other end.
Getting 0 echo. Who else has some questions for the folks at 10hands.net? 10 Hands Collaboration Service. I'm looking. Okay, so on a daily 30-minute meeting of 10 participants would cost how much?
Free.
I think you gave the napkin calculation a minute ago, but 30-minute meeting of 10.
Oh, I don't look at it as aggregate use across a call. I look at it as individual participation. So each of those 10 users would incur 30 minutes against their 3-hour time limit.
Okay.
If they did 10 of those meetings, I think, did I get the math right?
Yeah. After 10.
I didn't get the math right. Yeah, it would be too many. I saw James. Yeah, there's James. Thank you, James. Yeah.
He's counting on his fingers, or what?
Somebody.
I'm hearing some beeping too. I don't know if that's in the Hangout or on the server. And Michael's asking how different this meeting would be. How different would it be from a Hangout? Now, I have not seen a meeting with more than 2 people, so I don't know if there's any auto switching and so on. Can we do one of those real quick with just 3 people, or well, we won't hear the audio.
Yeah, that's right, and that would impact our active talker switching paradigm, which is based on voice energy sampling to switch in the active talker.
Okay, well that answers the question. That answers the question. Though, in other words, you've got a full screen similar to a Hangout. You have the full screen. The person talking can toggle, as with Skype. You can toggle. I just saw this today. There's a little thing that you can click to toggle your own presence
That's right.
in a small thing on the top. And then I have not seen the multiple person user. I guess it's what is it, Hollywood Squares type model, or
no? The model we use today for presenting the images are, as Venki said a moment ago. Today it's still images for the non-active speakers. It's prominent display of the active speaker, ideally at 720p. and across the next few months, continuous presence will come into our roadmap and offer it a look like this, perhaps side orientation, because we have some of our call controls on the bottom portion of the browser window. We bought into active talker-based switching during our telepresence days, and we actually think that that's a pretty solid paradigm for other devices, smartphones, and even tablets potentially, and especially in bandwidth-constrained situations where that single stream is going to be less taxing.
Okay, and like you mentioned, there's a row. That's right, I forgot that there is a row on the right-hand column. You see the stills or avatars, whatever. You also, by the way, should mention, because it's a little less exciting, less sexy, but you can actually call in via the PSTN as well.
That's right.
And there's a phone number to call. Here's a question coming from IRC, which is there a control panel so the conference leader can mute/control the participants? Now, although in a company you think, well, why, you won't need, you're not going to have like trolls or anything, but you may need to shut somebody up because they're noisy or something beyond their capabilities. So, are there controls, or will there be controls?
There may be controls. This is one of the great debates within 10 Hands. We try to emulate the physical world as much as possible, except in territory where we can make it better. So as an example, when I was sharing content, if Jack would have chosen to share content, I wouldn't need to pass him the ball, so to speak. He would simply share content in much the same way he would in a physical meeting. Our expectation may be lofty, but is that people ought to behave in a reasonable way in a session like this, and that if we deliver reasonable quality, you shouldn't have an occasion to need to mute someone who didn't choose to be muted. But I don't know. Sometimes it feels like we're losing that argument. So call control are on the evaluation for product development.
Makes sense. A couple other questions, bunch of questions coming in on IRC now. Let me try to take them in order here. James, you can voice your own question if you have a microphone and you are not in the middle of line and bridge.
Am I on?
You are on, James.
Yeah, have I got audio? Yeah, is there any possibility that you could engineer a means of patching in an external, i.e. non-10 hands video? I can see a whole raft of applications for which that would be extremely useful. So I'm guessing that at the moment you can't.
Go back to the original premise for me, James. Patch in an external 10 hands video. I'm not following.
I think he means calling in via SIP or Skype, maybe.
Yeah, something like a SIP-based video session. So I'm not suggesting that you want to use lots and lots of SIP video, but one single external SIP video source or Skype video possibly would be extremely useful. And that would allow a whole raft of use cases, a bit like VUC, where Randy likes to patch together lots of different means. But if you can only do 10 hands, then you're kind of a walled garden, which reduces the usefulness of the product a little bit.
Yeah, it's a roadmap item for us. Certainly the guys from BT and Cisco have a deep understanding of the implications of interoperability. It's something we deliver for our carrier customers at telepresence scale. Our answer to that for the time being is that 10 Hands is free. You can be a guest user, and the friction associated with getting in, if you are not currently, is reduced effectively to zero. That being said, I know there are a few Skype users out there. And the SIP question does come up. But for us, in terms of priority, we rank that a little bit below some of the other things that I listed earlier.
Well, you could share the screen. You could make a Skype call on the same computer and share that screen, but that's getting a little bit kludgy.
We call that the poor man's interop.
Right. We did it a few weeks ago, but it's a pretty kludgy thing. The other questions. API, good question. Will there be any API?
Yes,
so what about an API? Two people.
So there are a couple of things. I mean, one of the things that Mark alluded to earlier on in this conversation was we are going. Our plan is to be very partner-friendly, so we can embed our application into any destination site. So idea would be, as a part of that effort, we are exposing a bunch of APIs to the cloud, so people can create and do the right. User account provisioning, management, and others on the back end. and we would be exposing a JavaScript implementation that vendors can use in their browser, in their destination site, to enable video collaboration as a part of their application. So those are all going to be announced fairly quickly in the next week. We have some prototypes that, or rather we have a few partners that are kicking the tires around it to get the structure correctly and so on, but yeah, definitely.
And again, I want to employ the support at 10 Hands email address. If we have viewers either now or post this live broadcast who are interested in that API set, just send us a note at support@10hands.net, and we can make that API draft doc available to them.
Yeah, in fact, that's one of our points of big differentiation from everybody else. So even though people like to use Skype and others, but then if you're a part of your, especially when more and more work is getting done in the browser, people spend hours on Facebook or on CNN or whatever be their website of choice. Plugging in video collaboration as a part of where you do your daily work is far more effective than going to some other application like a Skype or a WebEx or some other Citrix GoToMeeting to get business done, right? So if you think of a regular user, I mean, if you consider a developer, the guy uses, let's say, coding, right? So let's say he uses Subversion for code control, he uses Rally or some other tool for project, for his daily stand-up and others. So every day in the morning, instead of the developer going into all these apps and then going to WebEx to schedule a meeting and then do stand-ups, if video collaboration could be embedded into, say, his project management tool, say Rally, and all he does is he goes to work every day morning, logs into Rally, and then as a part of his daily stand-up or product updates, the application launches and brings all these users into the meeting and then shares their daily Scrum activities. Then that experience is far more powerful rather than these users trying these 10 different things and trying to figure out how to share an application into something else, right? So that's the kind of power we are trying to unleash, rather than at that point you no longer worry about what tools you're using to communicate, but you're really looking at how I can get my business done, and then we are embedding these applications into those business productivity tools. So that's kind of the way to think about Enhance in a bigger ecosystem, I would think.
And doing that is going to really require you the future WebRTC state that you're going to be in. I mean, this is what you're looking at. So that's interesting. I think there's no question that 10 Hands is a platform that bears watching, and I'm sure you'll get a few requests, if not a lot of requests, for a beta through this. It seems like an interesting thing to check out, and I'll mention again to take a look at the site. You can request an invite then, but the site will be open pretty soon for all, and that site is 10hands.net. It's pretty easy to spell, and you can write an email to support@10hands.net if it's before the end of the month. If you're really in a hurry, just tell them VUC sent you. Let's see if there's any other further questions, or whether we just want to conclude with, well, the IRC thing is just going crazy here. But they're talking about direct show to each other. Where is the VLC? I'm trying to read it. I mean, I don't know if you guys are on it. Might have missed it. They mentioned prior iOS by the end of the summer. Okay, we're caught up, I think.
So I have a question, which is, unless I missed it, do you do any form of recording?
Oh, that's in the works right now through a third party. That's the kind of application that we would look to outsource to someone who's expert at it, record, indexing, and Jack, you might know better when we might have a proof of concept available for public consumption on that than I do.
Yeah, I would project somewhere end of year time frame.
Okay, thank you.
And by the way, with recording comes another question that's kind of typical of this kind of thing, which is your space is corporations and collaboration, but occasionally you might want to do a webinar type thing, which means you've got a web interface, a web-facing, watch-only thing. So that's another question. It's similar to recording, only it's live, which is what we're doing right now on YouTube. But obviously, this would require perhaps an account with someone else, Ustream or some other thing. You don't want to do that part of it, but
no, we don't want to do that.
Plans to a web-facing interface?
We do want to bring it into the application in a very neat and elegant way. It doesn't need to be exposed completely to the user. It should be integrated nicely, and that's the objective of our partner development that Jack alluded to.
Okay. Any last questions before we conclude here? From
an observation, if I may.
Sure.
From the IRC chat back and forth, Tim's idea, or was it James' idea, of being able to incorporate a SIP stream, whether it's video or audio, through some kind of a gateway, would be probably a suitable alternative to saying, well, we're going to have some kind of support for hardware input, and that would eliminate the need for a plug-in or something in a plug-in that everybody would require, but still give people who have more sophisticated requirements access to different kinds of hardware inputs, because it would offload the requirement for encoding the video to whatever it was that was going to create that SIP stream. So I could take a life-size endpoint or a Polycom endpoint or something like that and incorporate it through that SIP gateway.
That's a reasonable point. We'll have that for our development discussion later today.
I'll make one more comment, Randy. In terms of the semi-open beta right now, once you are a beta user, even today, you've got great flexibility to add users. So anybody that, once you get established, you can go into contacts, add anybody's email address, and they will become active once they register immediately. Or you can even download from various address books as well. So once you get into that community, when we set you up, you can open it up to many others so you can have your calls with the folks you want to.
And I noticed that there's a very simple way to give feedback. I can't remember when that popped up, but it's obviously there, and you really, really want people to make their comments. I mentioned to you one very small thing which had to do with the camera that I'm not using right now, but it's the C910, which is a widescreen camera. On the Mac, there's no good way to there's no driver that lets you manage it. So on the current 10-hand system with the C910, the video is a little bit, I look a little skinnier, which is great. I think that's a good thing. But but it probably is something that should be taken a look at. But if any issues that you have, you guys that are listening and that are going to join, I think you'd be doing them a big favor by submitting any issue, regardless of how minor. I know you're dying to have those issues, right? I mean, that's what we're here for.
Feedback is a gift.
That's who we are. That's who we are, okay? Excellent. Well, I thought that was great. It was interesting, and you had the big WebRTC challenge, so we'll be watching you very closely, right?
All right, Randy. Hey, Randy, imagine how productive you'll be when you get 10 hands.
I know it. I know it. I've only got 2, and I'm doing 15 things a day already. Thank you, everybody, and thanks. It was great that you folks came, the 3 of you, really happy. Thanks to Tim. David Duffett didn't say anything. David, say hello and goodbye. Oh, he doesn't have any audio either. All right.
Hello.
David.
Hello, goodbye, David. How are you?
See you next time.
Good.
And Jerry's got that beautiful, Jerry Schubin's got the beautiful L.A. beachfront thing where he wishes he lived. All right, people. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week. Or we'll see you in, actually, we'll see you in a few minutes with Sangoma. But we're going to end this hangout in a second. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Aren't you glad you stayed to the end? Find more at VUC.me. As usual, thanks so much to